Coming up on the Roundup, monitors announced for Kingston. Moorabool's toxic waste fight with the EPA continues. A waste-to-energy surprise in Hume. A former mayor attempts a by-election comeback. A New South Wales councillor fails to block a second suspension. Northern Territory's mayoral election counts on a knife edge. Surprising recommendations for a boundary change in South Australia. And a trio of Tasmanian councillors hit back at hurtful online claims. Hello, I'm Chris Eddy. This is the Local Government News Roundup, a selection of news from and about councils across Australia and beyond. The podcast is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government. It's Monday the 25th of August. Welcome to a brand new week of the Roundup. 2 municipal monitors will oversee Kingston City Council, commencing today and through to the end of this year. Local Government Minister Nick Stakos has announced that John Tanner will be one of the monitors. The second is to be appointed at a later date. Mr Tanner is currently a monitor at Hobsons Bay and is the former chairman of the panel of administrators at Moira Shire Council. Mr Stakos said the monitors would support good governance at the council for the rest of the year. Kingston Mayor Georgina Oxley and CEO Peter Bean say they're committed to working with the monitors. Councillor Oxley said the council looks forward to better understanding the government's concerns and would share with the monitors their strong processes, governance oversight and transparent decision-making. Hume City Council has responded to the Victorian Government's announcement of provisional approvals for a waste-to-energy facility between Bulla and Sunbury, expressing disappointment about a lack of prior consultation. The council says it will thoroughly review the proposal when it's formally referred to it, considering community concerns and advocating for optimal outcomes for residents. Sunbury Life has reported that the annual capacity of the waste-to-energy power plant proposed by the company HiQ for a site in Bulla has more than doubled from 300,000 tonnes to 750,000 tonnes. Moorabool Shire says it spent $500,000 to remove toxic industrial waste from a Crown Road reserve in Moorabool, and that calls for the EPA to pay the bill are falling on deaf ears. Mayor Councillor Paul Tatchell said the council had removed trailers of toxic waste, but there were still unsecured industrial waste cylinders inside the property that are the responsibility of the EPA. The council is calling on the authority to take responsibility for removing the cylinders inside the property boundary. Councillor Tatchell said the EPA is ignoring the council, but that it knows the waste is there and that it is as dangerous as the waste that was outside the property. Hobsons Bay City Council has corrected what it calls misreporting about a discovery of asbestos at Newport Lakes. The council said material had been found in a garden bed in the northwestern lawn and not the arboretum, and that the area had been fenced off and signage put in place. In a statement, the council said the material had been assessed as low risk and clean-up works would be completed by midweek. It made no comment about the likely source of the material. A number of sites in the city were impacted by mulch contaminated with asbestos material in April last year, leading to park closures for inspection and remediation works. Former Wodonga Mayor Ron Mildren has confirmed he'll contest the Lake Hume Ward by-election after the resignation of Hannah Seymour. Ms Seymour narrowly defeated Mr Mildren at last October's election. He told the Border Mail that he's been flooded with calls from people urging him to run. The paper reported that there have been 6 nominations so far, with nominations set to close tomorrow. And Campaspe Shire Council is implementing licence plate recognition technology to replace traditional tyre chalking for more efficient parking management in Echuca, with a 2-week warning period before enforcement starts in late September. The new system aims to improve parking turnover for local businesses, and the council is encouraging workers to use designated all-day parking areas to free up short-term spaces for customers. In today's Victorian Briefs, Frankston City Council is investing $100,000 in 2 free legal service initiatives delivered by Peninsula Community Legal Centre, a school lawyer program in secondary schools and an expanded tenancy legal service for vulnerable residents. The programs will provide legal advice, education and representation to approximately 600 community members over the next 12 months. Brimbank has launched Melbourne's first permanent soft plastics recycling program that transforms waste into road materials, with each kilometre of road using approximately 430,000 plastic bags. The initiative allows residents to drop off clean soft plastics and polystyrene at the Brimbank Resource Recovery Centre for free. And the 2025 Bush Summit coming to Ballarat on Friday will bring together national leaders, including the Prime Minister, to discuss critical issues affecting regional Australia. The free event is being hosted by Ballarat City Council, which says it's an important opportunity for the Ballarat community to contribute to shaping regional Australia's future. More news in a moment, but first a word from the Victorian Local Government Association. To ensure all councils can comply with mandatory requirements, no matter their size or location, the VLGA is offering a special councillor professional development intensive series. Partner with 3 other councils and save more than 50% off the minimum cost of completing all 13 modules in Year 1. The intensives will be held over 3 days, include all 13 mandatory modules. They're cost-effective, time-efficient and promote the benefits of peer-to-peer and face-to-face learning. In addition to the intensives, and in recognition that every council has different needs, the VLGA also offers bespoke training options, both online and in person. A faculty of facilitators will work with you to customise a program that responds directly to the unique professional development needs of your council and delivered in a way which suits you. To find out more, head to vlga.org.au. A controversial New South Wales councillor has been unsuccessful in blocking a second suspension. We're talking about Councillor Andrew Thaler at Snowy Monaro Regional Council. About Regional reported that the New South Wales Civil and Administrative Tribunal refused his application to stay the 3-month suspension, which was imposed in July over controversial social media comments. Senior member Sigrid Higgins noted that Councillor Thaler did not dispute making the comments and expressed concerns that he might continue similar behaviour if allowed to return to council duties. Meanwhile, Councillor Thaler has announced his candidacy for the upcoming Kiama by-election on the 13th of September, following the resignation of former MP Gareth Ward. In a statement, Thaler claimed he'd be running with an increased public profile. Thaler's formal appeal against his most recent council suspension is scheduled to be heard on October 2nd. Kiama Mayor Cameron McDonald has welcomed a $26 million Liberal Party pledge for the Kiama Sports Precinct redevelopment. Ahead of that by-election, the council is calling on Labor to match the commitment. It's unanimously adopted a state government advocacy plan outlining key priorities, including sports facilities upgrades, housing development planning and infrastructure improvements. Lismore City Council has completed the installation of a 10-kilometre fibre optic network that enables remote activation of flood pumps, enhancing safety and responsiveness during weather events. The technology, part of a larger flood restoration initiative, allows for data-driven decisions and more flexible pump operation from secure locations, representing a significant advancement in the city's flood management capabilities. A number of beach access points have been closed by Lake Macquarie City Council due to the impacts of significant coastal erosion. The erosion has caused damage to dune access tracks and fencing, and the council said the closures are necessary for public safety to prevent further damage to the dune system. Access will be restored once the dunes have stabilised and it's safe to reinstate formal pathways. And Narromine Shire Council has commended the outstanding performance of its General Manager Jane Redden after the completion of an annual review process. Mayor Ewan Jones said the strong satisfaction rating of more than 80% reflected the council's confidence in her leadership and delivery. Mrs Redden has led the organisation for nearly 9 years. An update out of Queensland in Townsville, where strike action from council workers has been ongoing for weeks. The Bulletin reported on Friday that the council has put forward an improved wage offer, which would be considered by AWU members in the coming days. The latest development comes as industrial action impacts Magnetic Island, where no maintenance is occurring on barbecues, in parks or public spaces. A council spokesperson said negotiations are ongoing. Toowoomba Regional Council Mayor Jeff McDonald has expressed gratitude to the Queensland State Government for committing $54 million towards the Cressbrook Dam Safety Improvement Project. It follows years of advocating for support for the project, which Mayor McDonald said is critical for the region. The council is also seeking additional federal funding, including a $97 million application under the federal government's Round 3 Disaster Ready Funding program. Polling conducted for the Local Government Association of Queensland reveals that while Queenslanders strongly support reducing waste and increasing recycling to the tune of 88%, approximately 68% oppose households paying a levy on their bin waste. LGAQ's Bin the Tax campaign is advocating for a pause on the reduction of waste levy offset payments until the Queensland Waste Strategy Review is completed, as the state government is already collecting an estimated $477 million in waste levy revenue this financial year. 19 councils and their communities face an almost $30 million reduction in offset payments, potentially forcing councils to either pass costs on to ratepayers or reduce spending on community services. Let's head across to the NT, where it's election time and counting has been paused after Saturday's elections, with many races sitting on a knife's edge, according to reporting from the NT News. Counting continued until 11 p.m. Saturday and will resume this morning. So far, voter turnout appears relatively low at 54%, a figure that might rise slightly once postal and declaration votes are fully processed. In Darwin, the mayoral race remains extremely tight, with incumbent Lord Mayor Con Vatskalis trailing former CLP Deputy Chief Minister Peter Stiles by a small margin. Vatskalis currently holds 20.6% of the vote, compared to Stiles' 23%, with 55% of enrolled voters counted. With 13 candidates in the running, preferential voting will be crucial in determining the winner. Meanwhile, in Palmerston, incumbent Mayor Athena Pascoe-Bell appears headed for victory, with 50.4% of the vote, sitting nearly 30 points ahead of her nearest rival Rob Waters, with 48% of votes counted. In Katherine, following Mayor Elizabeth Clark's retirement after 17 years of service, newcomer Joanna Holden has established a commanding lead with 41% of the vote, well ahead of second-place Mel Doyle, with nearly half of enrolled voters counted. Alice Springs is witnessing another close contest, with Greens-endorsed candidate Asta Hill narrowly leading with 32.6%, just ahead of incumbent councillor Eli Melky on 31.5%. Only 92 votes currently separate the two frontrunners in what marks the first time a Greens-endorsed candidate has run for Alice Springs Mayor. In Litchfield Council, current councillor Rachel Wright leads the mayoral race with 39%, ahead of incumbent Mayor Doug Barden, who sits at 30.1%, with more than half of enrolled votes counted. The Electoral Commission has yet to receive nearly 2,600 postal votes. Final results will potentially not be known until later in the week, once all preferences are distributed. We'll keep an eye on those counts and bring you an update in our next edition. Let's go down to South Australia. The Local Government Boundaries Commission there has completed its inquiry into a 2019 proposal by the town of Gawler, recommending that the suburb of Hewett should be transferred from Light Regional Council to Gawler's jurisdiction. Light Regional Council's newly elected Mayor Bill Close expressed strong opposition to the move, stating changes such as this do nothing to impact the day-to-day lives of our communities and have been a distraction, taking valuable time away from delivering quality services. Council CEO Richard Dodson called the recommendations surprising, suggesting the focus should instead be on providing more housing and critical infrastructure to the growing region. For its part, the town of Gawler has acknowledged the recommendations but noted that the process is not yet complete. Gawler's CEO Chris Carley said it was important to understand it was not a final decision, with the ultimate discretion to accept, vary or reject the recommendations sitting with the Minister for Local Government. No timeline has yet been announced for his determination. Kangaroo Island Council is seeking community assistance after significant vandalism at the historically important Reeves Point site, where a vehicle was deliberately driven over grounds and damaged a heritage mulberry tree propagated from an original 1836 specimen. Mayor Michael Pengilly has condemned the senseless acts that destroy community assets and disrespect the island's history, calling for those responsible to be identified and held accountable. And 3 Circular Head Council members in Tasmania have issued a joint statement responding to what they describe as false and deeply hurtful claims made against them online. Mayor Gerard Blizzard, Deputy Mayor Annette Dawes and Councillor Mark Dabner have strongly refuted accusations that they were associating with a convicted offender at a community event last October. In their statement, the elected representatives clarified they attended the intergenerational community event in their official capacities and were unaware of any attendees' criminal history. Deputy Mayor Dawes, who has a background in education, called the accusations devastating, while Mayor Blizzard described the situation as gut-wrenching. The 3 council members, who are signatories to the Lift the Tone campaign, have called for a higher standard of public conversation in the community. Let's grab some more news briefs for you. The city of Moreton Bay has become the first Queensland local government to integrate advanced thunderstorm tracking technology from WeatherWatch into its disaster dashboard. It means real-time thunderstorm risk information is now provided with updates every 5 minutes. The City of Rockingham in WA has received its 5th Roadwise ribbon from WALGA, marking its excellence in road safety across planning, infrastructure, fleet management, community engagement and governance. The recognition highlights the city's comprehensive approach to road safety, including its Road Safety Management Plan of 2023 to 2030. And Kingston District Council in South Australia has provided an update on the status of the Kingston jetty, which sustained damage from a storm and is undergoing insurance assessment by the Department of Infrastructure and Transport. No repairs are expected before summer. Additionally, the Cape Jaffa jetty has sustained significant damage and is being assessed by the state government, which will advise on repair plans as soon as possible. You're listening to the Local Government News Roundup for Monday the 25th of August. It's edition number 482. We come to you 3 times a week, bringing you up to date on happenings across the local government sector in Australia and beyond. And I'm grateful to the many of you who help make this podcast possible by supporting us through a monthly subscription. Welcome to Lee, Catherine and Daniel, who've recently joined the Roundup family. Your subscription unlocks the back catalogue of episodes going back to March 2021. If you have any feedback or suggestions on what would make your subscription more worthwhile, I'd love to hear from you. Support starts at $3 per month. That's around $5 Australian. And you can cancel your subscription at any time. You'll find the details on the website at lgnewsroundup.com or in your podcast player. Current episodes of the Roundup will always be available without a subscription. Let's wrap this one up with a few stories from overseas. Out of the UK, the City of Bradford Council in West Yorkshire, England, is getting tougher on illegal dumping, increasing fines for fly tipping and littering. Penalties for illegal waste disposal will climb from £400 to up to £1,000 under a new 3-tier system. Council spokesperson, Councillor Sarah Ferraby, said the changes send a clear message that fly tipping will not be tolerated. The council is also introducing new measures to make it easier to dispose of DIY waste at household waste recycling centres. Dorset Council is urging visitors to avoid lighting barbecues and campfires in the countryside due to wildfires that have already burned 260 hectares of land this year. That's 15 times more than last year, according to BBC News. The plea comes after a deliberately started fire required firefighters from 17 fire services to spend 6 days tackling the blaze, highlighting the threat to rare heathland habitats and public safety. To the US state of Colorado, there's growing political tension between Denver Mayor Mike Johnston and the City Council following recent layoffs at city departments, as reported by Axios Denver. Mayor Johnston is defending his administration's decision to lay off 169 city employees amid accusations that some dismissals were retaliatory in nature. The controversy escalated when council member Stacey Gilmore, whose husband was among those laid off, publicly called the mayor trash in a Facebook post. The mayor insists the layoffs were fiscally responsible decisions made to address a $200 million budget deficit. Denver's transportation department was hit hardest, with 33 workers let go. Mayor Johnston has rejected claims that his spending on homeless programs and migrant aid caused the budget crisis. There's controversy also in Minneapolis after City Council Vice President Aisha Chugtai launched a profane verbal attack against Mayor Jacob Fry at a recent campaign event. Fox 9 News reported that the profane remarks, which also targeted President Donald Trump, came while Chugtai was expressing support for State Senator Omar Fateh, who's challenging Fry in the upcoming mayoral election. 3 council members issued a joint statement last week condemning what they called an extraordinary breach of decorum and inflammatory and disrespectful rhetoric. They've called on Chugtai to apologise for her remarks. And Radio New Zealand has reported on the surprise from members of Whakatane District Council that certain services like cemeteries, public toilets and animal control have not been listed as core services in a local government amendment bill that has been introduced to Parliament. The bill aims to reduce council rates by making councils focus on specific core services rather than nice-to-haves, removing reference to 4 well-being aspects that were reintroduced by Labor in 2019. In a submission, the council is asking the government to amend the list of core services to include all functions required by legislation and communities and to address the lack of appropriate funding tools for local government. And that's the latest from the Local Government News Roundup. This edition, number 482, recorded on the morning of Monday, the 25th of August, 2025. If you have comments or feedback, you can send an email to lgweeklynews@gmail.com. More information about the episode, including story links, can be found at www.lgnewsroundup.com. The Roundup is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government. The Roundup is recorded in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. We come your way every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Until our next edition, thanks for listening and bye for now. The VLGA is offering a special councillor professional development intensive series. Partner with 3 other councils and save more than 50% off the minimum cost of completing all 13 modules in Year 1. The intensives will be held over 3 days. They're cost-effective, time-efficient and promote the benefits of peer-to-peer and face-to-face learning. In addition to the intensives and in recognition that every council has different needs, the VLGA also offers bespoke training options, both online and in person. A faculty of facilitators will work with you to customise a program that responds directly to the unique professional development needs of your council. To find out more, head to www.vlga.org.au.